You're listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. This episode of the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast is sponsored by the free on-demand Time Management Expert Series. This is a 5-hour webinar series, and it is completely free for you to listen to until April 17th, 2019. Sign up now by going to www.addclasses.com.
Well, hello, and welcome back to ADHD Support Talk Radio. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris. And as a productivity coach, I help overwhelmed professionals reduce procrastination, improve time management, and get more done with less effort so that they have more time, more energy, and even more money for what they love most. I am a woman with ADD myself, so I have been where so many of my clients are and where so many of you guys are, and I've come out the other side, so to speak. I've gone from living in that constant state of chaos and underperformance that we all know too well to living a life of more success and fulfillment than I ever dreamed was possible at one time. And I know you can share the same success too. You can learn more about me and what I do and the programs and services I offer at my website. It's www.coachingadvantages.com. And when you sign up on my website or text the keyword HACK, H-A-C-K, to 444999, I'll send you my 7 foolproof productivity hacks to help you add hours of free time to your weeks by investing just a few smart minutes each day. So if you've ever heard me speak before, here or anywhere else, you probably have heard me talk about the importance of tapping into your strengths to manage your challenges. It's a fundamental premise of what I do as an ADHD and productivity coach, right? My job is to help my clients excavate what they want out of their lives. That's the life coaching part of ADHD coaching. And then the ADHD coaching part of what I do is, given how you process information, given how you're wired, given what's natural and what comes easiest to you, how can we get you to that life you want for yourself on a day-to-day basis in a practical way that you can sustain, right? So it's future focused and also future progress focused, but it's always focused on your strengths. So I want to help my clients understand how they work best, understand what they need to have in place for themselves, what kinds of systems and tools and structures and strategies they have to have in place that work best for them so that they can perform at the level of their abilities in any area of their life. But you can't do that if you're only focused on your weaknesses. So that strength-based approach is a fundamental premise of ADHD coaching, and it's a very important piece of what I do. My underlying way that I help my clients is really focused on their natural strengths, their natural tendencies, how they process information, what comes naturally to them, because what comes natural, those strengths, those quirks even, their own unique ways of doing things are always going to be the things that are easiest for them to maintain and always going to be the things that they're more likely to be able to keep up with for the long haul. And obviously that's what we want when we want to make lasting change. One very important piece of that strength, one very important piece of your unique strengths and your unique ways of doing things is your energy flow. Right? It's really important to understand and to be able to take advantage of your natural energy flow, especially your mental energy flow. So your mental energy and your mental focus ebbs and flows all throughout every day, right? Sort of like a wave. We have high points, we have low points, we have peaks, and we have valleys all throughout the day that we need to take advantage of, and that those low points we need to avoid. But starting to pay attention to those sort of ebbs and flows, those peaks and valleys, and the wave of what is your energy and your focus is really important. And most of us don't pay much attention to that. So if you're trying to squeeze yourself into someone else's structure, or you're trying to force yourself to use someone else's system, it may not work well for you if you're not tapping into your own natural ebb and flow of energy and focus. And it's not like yours is not going to be anything like anyone else's. That sort of ups and downs in my energy and in my focus are different than anyone else's. And there are different kinds of focus that we need to pay attention to as well. Different kinds of focus. And just like there are different kinds of focus, there are different kinds of tasks and different kinds of activities that match those different kinds of focus, right? So if you're in a place of high mental energy, an upswell, right? It's going to be easier for you to get into hyperfocus. It's going to be easier for you to get into flow. It's going to be easier for you to really tune into that deeper, more focused work. It's going to require less motivation. It's going to require less sort of, oomph or force to get you into that focus. You're going to get less frustrated. You're going to find it easier maybe to do harder things for you. And by harder, I don't mean more intellectually challenging or more physically challenging or more challenging from a skills perspective. I always use the term hard to talk about the things that don't come easy to you. And for a lot of us, the things that don't come easy to us are not rocket science, right? And if it were, I always say, if it were rocket science, it probably wouldn't be such a struggle. So the hard stuff that you have a difficult time taking care of, activating on, or staying focused on, tasks or projects that have low interest or have very little stimulation, tasks or projects that you dread or have a tendency to try to avoid, right? Those sort of, you want to call them high willpower tasks or hard, I call them, those hard things are better for those peaks in energy. They're better for the upswells or the high spots in the energy wave. Those low spots in the energy wave, when you don't have a whole lot of focus, are better for things that come more easily to you, right? They're better for things that you don't struggle with. They're better for things that are on maybe autopilot. So you want to save the high willpower tasks or the hard stuff for the higher focus times, and pay attention to when you're starting to go into a lower period, right? Don't force yourself to push through those low periods once you get to a certain spot, because you're going to probably more than likely end up frustrated and wasting a lot of time and a lot of energy. So save low focus tasks for those periods if you can. Things like checking and responding to emails, simple chores, repetitive tasks, projects or activities that feel easy to you, and do the energy draining or energy, intensive activities when you're at the top of your focus wave. So if we can start to pay attention to when that kind of ebb and flow happens for us, it's really important, and it can make a really big difference in your productivity overall. Now, I know the rest of the world may not be structured in a way that fits really easily with where your focus and where your mental energy ebbs and flows. And there are some things you can do about that, and there are some things that you can't. Where you can, do what you can to work with your focus and with your energy. Where you can't, obviously there are things that you can do to make it a little bit easier. You can decide when to do certain kinds of things, like living in your email, living in your inbox all day long and letting that direct your activity is not a good thing to do. And it's kind of a waste of those high focus or high mental energy periods. So, turn it off and check it on a regular basis, but don't let it drive your activities. And your mood and your emotional sort of energy can ebb and flow too, right? Some of us are pretty even tempered all day long, but there are still little ups and downs in our mood, right? And some things can influence your fluctuations in focus and fluctuations in mood. Things like nutrition, things like moving, things like energy, making sure you're hydrated, making sure you're eating a healthy snack with enough protein and enough good solid nutrition, frequently enough throughout the course of the day, not getting too much caffeine at any one given time, right? Your medication, if you take medication for ADHD, that can impact the ebb and the flow of your energy throughout the day. So pay attention to those kinds of things and try to match the task with the energy level. So thinking about how interesting or stimulating the task is going to be key, right? How much focus does the task require? How hard does it feel to you? Not how challenging is it from a skills perspective or an intelligence perspective, but how hard or easy does the task feel to you for you to get started on, for example? How long will the task take? And I know that's, not an easy thing for us to estimate, but is it a quick task, or do you need to be sitting still for a long period of time? Can it be done in pieces, or can it be done in chunks? So when you're paying attention to the kind of energy that a task requires, then you can try to match that task to the kind of energy you have at different times of the day. And again, we can't all 100% make our days fit our energy flow. But the answer is not working more hours, right? The answer is working more effectively. And you probably have more control over this than you think you do. So when you can, do what you can to make the tasks that you need to take care of, the projects that you're involved in, or the activities that are required of you, fit the level of focus that you have at different times of day. It requires some self-awareness. It can require some tracking or some logging, where you can make note on your calendar very easily, on a scale from 1 to 10, for example. I'll have clients track, where your focus and where your energy is several points throughout the course of the day. Preferably hourly would be great. You could set a timer or a meditation chime or something that goes off on an hourly basis for a couple of days, where you rank where you feel like your mental energy and where you feel like your focus is on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 or something like that. And over time, you'll see patterns. Again, there are certain things you can do to influence it that can help you when you're headed into a low time to make it be not quite so low. And there are things that you can do to make it a little bit more even. Again, nutrition, making sure you're getting, solid sleep, regular and sufficient sleep, stress management, all of those sort of basic self-care things, moving your body, getting some moving your body and getting some exercise and some movement on a regular basis throughout the day can help sort of those low spots not be quite so low. Watching the sugar, watching the caffeine, things like that. But it's a really important thing to tap into. So start to pay attention to your natural ebb and flow of energy and do what you can to work with it. Hope I gave you something to think about. I know it's a little bit odd. And again, if you're a night owl and you're working an early morning job, it's not 100% under your control. But I bet if you really pay attention, there are times throughout the day when you can make better choices about how you're expending your energy and how you're deciding on what tasks to do at different times throughout the day. So think about it. If you have any questions, join us in the ADHD Support Talk Radio Facebook group. Happy to answer any questions. Happy to chat with you in there about any episode or anything we do on the show. Again, I'm Coach Lynne Edris. As always, I appreciate your attention. Thanks for listening.